Yeah, the battle card game called Shuffle Wars continues to be worked on. Let's talk about a little bit of progress and show you what I'm working on right now. Fair warning, it's some code, but there's some stuff that I did that was progress that's not code. Yeah, not code. And that's, perhaps more visually entertaining. Yada yada, blah blah blah. I'm wondering how many things I need to have up in order to show that. It's a good question. Fair question. Um, let's try this. Um, I have gotten to a point where I feel like the Pearl collection. There's a series of things we have developed recently, the last, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks. These things have surrounded the core gameplay. And the core gameplay hasn't really been touched. Okay. This quick play is like what our game was. Well, maybe a couple of months ago. No, 1 month ago. Where we would pick some cards and play. Now, 3 cards first round, 4 cards the second round. If you go to overtime, it's 5 cards. And that's what this was. It still is. Um, it's that for sure. Um, but we were concerned about what a player would do after they played a few times. What makes them want to continue playing? What makes them interested to um, pay attention to the core gameplay? Because built into the core gameplay is some emergent gameplay, tactics, and strategy that isn't readily apparent until you start playing this for a while. So, how do we get them to play it for a while? That was kind of the main question. And I think our answer was, let's get them to play, and as they do, we will show them some surprises, some contrast, some variation. This is good enough for the first 1 or 2 playthroughs. That takes about 10, 15 minutes. Um, that's fine for a very rough gameplay prototype. It's terrible for an actual game that someone might tell their friends about or whatever. This looks interesting if you never saw it before, but once you've seen it before, meh, it becomes less and less interesting. Our goal then was to think of what could support this core gameplay in a way that players who try it feel more skilled than they did the first time, but also feel that there is some advantage they're getting to playing again. Um, Part of this might be an advantage of satisfying some curiosity. And so we added a campaign with a little bit of story and a little bit of suggesting that you are doing things beyond just laying cards on the table and watching a battle. Um, we also introduced the idea that you collect experience. Now, in this quick play mode, there is no account to collect experience in. And so actually collecting experience, participating in a story, these are things that we're encouraging a player to do by making an account. I want cards that are better for these. It's going to be risky. Um, if players are encouraged to make an account, they will make it their own. They'll have some um, personalization. They can also now see results from playing a simple match that results in longer term progress. They're collecting experience, leveling up, and such. If they participate in a campaign, they get some story that helps them understand why they're here, and then when they're done, some satisfaction of completion of the story that again allows them to feel good about continuing to play this core gameplay. And that's okay. The last thing we were working on to surround this core gameplay and get players to play more, the idea that this core gameplay has a drawback already, something I've been aware of for a while, which is during this phase of the game, we're basically just watching the battle. And as we do, it's a bit passive. It should be more. If we combine these two ideas and say there should be something the player can do here, and there's something the player should feel encouraged to do here, we want them to have a reason to come back to this gameplay. Can we tie all this together? That led to a collection mechanic. And this is a card game, so the first idea was cards you collect in a deck building game, but we are already using cards and I'd rather not confuse the issue. So we opted for collecting other items we're calling pearls, right? You collect a pearl and you can drop the pearl into the battle and change the battle while you're watching it. So now here's a very active thing you can do. It very dramatically changes the battle. That's what we've been working on. So let's talk about that. If I could take one moment to make sure I get my music up, that would be great. Yeah, just takes a second. There we go. All right. So when you do log in, and let's log in as Monkey. Monkey's been my test subject lately. Suddenly there's more going on than that core gameplay because you can customize a profile. You can enter a campaign and go after different enemies all the way up to a boss. And that boss, or each stage of the campaign, gives you a little bit of story to start with, and a reason why you are doing this includes helping other people. So now this core gameplay is the same, except you know who you're going up against and why. And it is silly. The story is silly. The names of the opponents are silly. Everything's silly. This game doesn't take itself too seriously. That's true. But psychologically, we are just helping the player to be satisfied and not have a lingering question about, hey, why am I even doing this, right? There is a reason. It might be absolutely silly, but it is a reason. So that's good enough. If we do play this and defeat a boss in a campaign, not only do we want to collect some experience, we defeated this boss in the campaign, which makes which should make that's we're here in the middle. I was like confused because didn't realize we were still playing. Sorry. Excuse me. The but the story helps, but if we're going to go through a series of matches and go against progressively harder AI, which it is, it definitely can be made harder and harder. Um, then the last one you do, like we're doing right now, is a boss. And you should have a reward for that beyond just the experience you're going to collect, beyond just the potential leveling up of experience. Because, no joke, just adding the numbers on this thing on your account and leveling up seem to do something. That's great. But we can do more. And it should feel like you're doing more. And because it is tied to a story and you're supposedly helping people, there's a good reason to do more. Now that we have defeated a boss, not just defeated one stage of the campaign, but defeated a boss, we come back to the campaign, we hear the end of the story. Hooray! And because we did that, a boss at the end of a campaign, we now collect these collectible things that are meant to support our ability to affect the battle in ways that the cards alone and the core gameplay alone could not. These are meant to be wildly overpowered special effects in battle. And to balance that, they have a cooldown. So you can drop it. You can take this pearl with you, drop it into battle, but then it's going to cool down for a time and for a number of matches. And you can't use this pearl again until the cooldown is done. So the reason we feel confident about introducing pearls, it fills a need that is the passiveness at that phase of battle where you've done your tactical planning and now you're just watching it. You need to do something. This is something you can do. And it's a decision that is very consequential, and it's a decision you need to figure out when and if you are going to drop it, and which one you're going to take as well. Because now that I've collected one, I have a collection of them, and I can choose between one and another. They might be on cooldown, in which case I cannot take them. It tells me how long I have left to before I can use them again, and how many matches I need to do before I can use it again. Also, if it is available, I can take it, or I can put it back. I can choose between them. I can read them here in this collection screen. That's what this screen is now. So by going through a campaign and defeating a boss, I've got a good incentive to do that, which is effectively playing more individual matches, right? So not only am I getting experience, but I'm increasing my ability to do better in battle because I've got these superpower things. I can maybe only use them rarely, and in fact, the rarity of the pearls you might collect is part of the way that we want to present this to the player. But we've filled in a lot of the pieces of the puzzle around the core gameplay. The core gameplay is one thing. Now we have a profile to save data, the campaigns to make sense of why you'd want to do it over and over again. Pearls that you collect that make for something new you can do in battle. And your collection is unique to you. Your collection is yours to manage. If I take this now and go into a quick play, it's now available for me to use during this match sometime. We've already done the work to present when you collect the pearl, to present the collection of pearls you have. What we've got now is a way to present the dropping of the pearl, and that's all in place. This prevents me from accidentally dropping it now, but it's going to appear here in the corner. So I have the ability now to drop this thing. This, according to the description, is going to open up a pool of lava that will damage any card that is on it, whether it's me or them. And so where I place it is going to matter. When I drop it is going to matter. Like I might not want to drop it on the first round. I might want to save my superpower pearl until I really need it. And maybe I don't need it right now. I'm going to see all the cards battle at once. So this timing of this is going to be difficult. I'm not going to be able to just decide to drop it now. These cards, I'm only going to affect one card for sure. That might be a good thing, but it might be useless to try and do it now. I might instead save that one for this next round. Again, it's the best 2 out of 3. So strategically, I'm thinking about when to drop it, if I should drop it, or maybe I should save it for the next match. You know, I'm currently in a quick play, so maybe it was kind of a silly example because I can win this quick play, but it doesn't really count to anything like a campaign does. See if I got a better card here. I mean, so I decided to hold on to my pearl. I'm in this second round, and I kind of have to win. If this were a big deal to me, I'd want to think about using it this round, pretty much right now, because it is supposed to open up a pool of lava. It could maybe cover 2 lanes like this. If that's true, then perhaps I really want to drop this right here, right now. And in that way, the pool of lava is here. It definitely affects these 2 cards. My card should be safe. It's possible this card's going to advance far enough and then lanes are going to collapse that it would also be walking into the pool of lava. So I got to watch out for the formation that I've done and what's happening in battle. But it's a gamble I'm willing to take because I'm down 1 round and I need to win this one. Obviously, no pool of lava has opened up. I mean, there's lots that would need to happen in terms of visual effects and things, but it's the rules of these pearls that I'm currently working on now. Given that we've done all the other work around it, we can concentrate on the rules the pearls actually do. We have 32 of the 64 pearls already defined in terms of the look and the description and the name. The description includes those rules and what the rule would do. Now I have to implement those rules. And there's going to be a specific manager that, well, frankly, already exists in the game right now to handle it. We saw it say something to the effect of begin pearl drop effects. This line right here is actually on a new tool that I haven't done anything with yet, except that. Basically, I moved this print statement from the pearl drop tool to this one, just to connect it up and have it ready to go. This is the beginning of what I need to do for this tool. This is going to be a tool in charge of what the pearls do in battle. Its job is to listen for a signal from the pearl dropper. So when a pearl is dropped, this tool gets the signal. It manages it from there. So it's a one-way communication, and that's already set up. That's what that print statement already indicated. So now we just have to implement the 64 different pearls. There's lots to do on that front, clearly. But there's some groundwork that I've already laid down, and I think it's worth going over that. So yeah, I already dropped that pearl. That pearl is not available for me anymore. I'm hoping to win this one. I'm in overtime, but I couldn't get to overtime without that pearl. No, if it actually did something. Potentially that saved me from losing the entire match outright. So here I am. Well, it's possible I win. I'm not doing too great. It's 3-on-3. Oh, I got a card advantage. Oh, I have 2 cards advantage. Yes, I do. Cool. So, monkey won. It's just a quick match. It's not in a campaign. So, yeah. So if I return, I go back to the main menu, and here we are. This now shows me that that pearl I dropped is on cooldown. I need to play 5 more matches and wait 25 minutes for this thing to come back. The reason being that this was a very powerful, has a huge effect that lasts the entire round. It does power 7 attacks every single battle cycle. It's pretty powerful. And so to balance that out, this cooldown is huge. This is a great mechanism. We can use a larger and larger cooldown and just keep increasing the power of these things. This one actually does damage. It drains hit points. It doesn't even do attacks. It drains hit points from the opponent. This is super powerful. It lasts the entire round. It's very, very powerful. And so the cooldown is huge. It's already run down quite a bit because I've been playing. But until then, I can't take these. So I don't have any pearls available now, right? So I could wait, but that doesn't do anything for the matches I need to play, right? I need both of these. So this has all been thought out. This is already done. There's a couple of details to like how I would form the campaign for the players. Low skilled players or low level players should have small campaigns. Higher level players need 4-stage campaigns and really big ones. This button will not exist. I'm literally using that for testing right now. But as you can see, we're procedurally generating a series of matches connected together, and you can choose your path to get there. As you go up in stages, they get harder and harder. So a 2-stage campaign is relatively straightforward. This is always the easiest enemy. This is the next one up. So this boss is actually relatively weak. In terms of the AI, there's some difficulty that's being increased. So we're just about there. Hey, you may have noticed there was a brand new way that we can view collecting a pearl. And I'll cheat collect a pearl right now. This is what the old one looked like. Get these leaves parting, and it looks cool. And I'll take that back in a minute. But we have another one, and I may need to go through some pearls to get there. In the meantime, we can see some examples of the pearls we have available. Okay. This is the new one. So rocks that split apart. We could have flowers or grass parting and revealing a pearl. We could have a chest open. There's different animations we can do. This is all working off the same tool that I'm using to just display this and make it look interesting, and then we're going to randomly select from the different ones just to show different pearl. Okay, now monkey has way too many pearls. I need to get rid of these. So so there's some visual stuff that's cool. Those pearl reveals are done, or they can continue to be done. We can just add more of them. It just takes some more art and then animation, but we have some tools already in place to help us do that, and we can make them pretty easily. I'm pretty happy with what's going on with the profile, with leveling up. I may adjust the thresholds for leveling up, but that's a minor adjustment. I'm pretty happy with the campaign. As I say, I want to remove these buttons and tie the procedural generation to the level of the profile. Otherwise, I'm happy with that, how that's working out. I'm really happy with the reveal of the pearl you get in collecting, and then the carousel is super cool. The way that we display the cooldown or the taking of a pearl or revoking it to take that one instead. This is all cool. And the dropping of the pearl, which begins there where I take it, and then where it shows up here in battle, this is working well. And I'm happy with all of this so far, which means I now am free to focus on this next big step. Now that we have all of these reasons to be here with our custom profile and our current experience and in the stage of the campaign against this particular character that's part of a story, and we have collected pearls which we have selected to bring into battle. Now when I'm revisiting this core gameplay, it just feels entirely different. It feels different. We've done some minor aesthetic revisions to the cards, so it looks a little different. Just incrementally, but this is all temporary. And so to say, now I can do this is great. We have now a strong foundation to do this next step. The next step being, now that I've dropped that Ice Drop Pearl, these cards have to know that, for example, this Casted Curse could not actually move up. These cards probably didn't turn over yet, and this one couldn't attack for at least a battle cycle, whatever the rule was. And it's because of that particular type of pearl that was dropped, and because I dropped it, and because I dropped it right there, and because I dropped it at that time. All of that is going on. Oh, by the way, we also implemented an anti-cheat recently, which is not an aesthetic thing or even a data thing or even a gameplay thing. It's just, hey, if you see your cards and you realize these are terrible cards, I should just get out and try it again. Yeah, you are going to be warned that you shouldn't be doing that. It'll tell you what you can do instead. But if you ignore that, you actually get a penalty. And this penalty is because you can sort of break the game and cheat the system by saying, yeah, these are terrible cards. Screw this, I'm out. Well, then you get a penalty. And we want to enforce proper gameplay. So if you were concerned about your win percentage, yeah, you just got a loss because of that penalty. You also are prevented from entering a campaign. If that's what you were looking to do, is defeat the boss or just get to the next stage and you wanted the good cards in the first round, sorry, you now have to wait. This will come back after an amount of time. But you did record a loss, so either way of the things you were looking to gain, those are now taken away. That's the penalty. And the remedy is to simply play properly, play all the way through and not exit. And of course, our system allows for a few of these exits to happen. It allows for gameplay to continue in good faith. And then if you happen to want to exit again, there's no penalty. There's not even a warning. It knows if you've been doing it often. It knows if you've been doing it consistently to cheat the system. So we spent some time on that. And I think that just leads to the idea that we've got one point of focus now. Now that we have this stuff in place, we really can focus on the effect of the pearl. And of course, this stems from the wild ideas that um, are sketched out already for what the pearl does. Not only do we have unique looks for, unique texture and color for the pearls, unique names and descriptions, but we wanted very unique effects. So a power boost is meant to boost the power of the pearls. I don't need it this round. I'm definitely going to hold off on it. I might even lose, but I'll still hold on to it for next round. This means, of course, somewhere the manager has to know, this pearl takes the power of my cards and increases them by 2 up to a maximum of 10 for this entire round. And because I know that as the player, I might say, well, shoot, I could start using the cards with low power because it's okay. These cards with an 8, I'm going to get boosted up to 10. That's good. This one that has a crappy power but has good stats otherwise, I can totally use because I'm going to boost my power. So I know this. I know I'm going to use this, and so I'm feeling pretty good about this, right? Which I don't want to use that. I'll put that there. Just conceptually, just as an idea. And I'm saving my other cards because I'm really hoping I can get to an overtime. If I do, I'm going to have really good cards for my overtime round. So here we are. Drop this now. This now is meant to raise the stats. And as I've sort of demonstrated before, this is going to be exactly like what I can do here to cheat. This is exactly what the Pearl Manager is going to have to do. It's going to have to come into battle and look at the cards that are about to go in. Cards in play, I suppose. All of my cards, yeah? I'm going to boost their power, just like this. I'm totally cheating, but this is exactly what the Pearl is meant to be able to do. So I'm increasing them by 2 up to a maximum of 4. So now all of their power has been increased. Exactly like what this Pearl is meant to do. Now I don't think the bar chart reflects this yet. That's part of the thing that I had no idea I was going to do when I made the card display. It only updates it once when it initially creates the card. But the stats are actually increased, and so they're going to have more effect in battle. Absolutely. This is going to help me get through this round and hopefully get to overtime. Maybe. Hopefully. Ooh, I think that might have really helped to get through that one battle. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to call it. I think that power boost definitely helped me get through that because I got a key card-to-card win, which allowed me to finish strong. Now I don't have that pearl anymore, but that's okay. I'm in overtime and I've got good cards. I've been saving these ones. They're actually not bad at all. And because of that, I'm feeling more confident I'm going to win this. That low luck is raining me a bit. I have learned that you can say, screw luck. A luck win doesn't happen very often, right? Well, it does if your luck is really low. This low luck makes you vulnerable to a luck card. If you go up against a luck card and you have low luck, good luck, so to speak. Because, in fact, I think I actually need to use this one. Because a high luck card may be defeated, but then at the moment of defeat, they turn it around as a luck win. And that only happens because the differential, it's luck versus your luck. And if your luck is really low, then the chances of them getting a luck win get higher. It's not a guarantee that luck wins are going to happen. That's the gamble you take when you are trying to manage the luck. But I've learned that if you go in with low luck cards because you don't care, oh, geez, wouldn't you know? Right there, right there. It went up against a luck card, so I got lucky, so to speak, because that luck card got taken out. That was good. Otherwise, I was screwed. So I'm actually up. I'm up one card. I got a card advantage. Yeah. Okay. So there's already some emergent gameplay, like that luck stuff that I just talked about is something you wouldn't notice as a player learning the game until much later. If the player has already stopped playing because it got boring, we lost. Like they never get to experience that. There's actually lots of emergent gameplay in the core gameplay that is important, I think, for the player to experience. It's why we've been making this a tactical, planning, intentional gameplay sort of game. The initial phase of gameplay where you're looking at the cards, selecting which ones play, selecting the formation, selecting the order they go into battle, that all matters. And now we're offering the extra incentive to pay attention and do things as a reaction, sort of an improv gameplay during the second phase of battle. When you're watching it, you can still do something as the general. You can take your pearl and do something with it. Hey, we leveled up. So I'm happy about that. We got a lot of progress in, and even a couple of aesthetic pieces, which is fun. Now, and I think during the stream where I was doing anti-cheat, I got almost all the way to the end, and literally I just found one calculation I did wrong, but fixed it. So now we are looking at the data of the pearls to add pearl effects. So far, our pearls have this data, and this is exactly what our Pearl Creator app, defines, so that we know the name, the description, and the colors. The cooldown here is what the pearl starts with. When you drop it, this is where all these cooldowns start at. But the pearl you have in your collection is currently at a particular point in that cooldown. It has been dropped or not. It refers to the original index according to the master list of pearls and all that. Well, now we're looking at what happens when you drop it. And so I need to define data, all the things we're going to remember or have to keep track of in terms of what's going on when you drop the pearl. First of all, what kind of pearl is this? Who dropped it, player one or player two? And then things about the drop itself, when and where. Because for some pearls, it really matters, like the lava pool pearl. It matters where you dropped it on the battlefield. Another pearl actually blocks a lane from collapsing, and we need to know where it dropped. We also want to know when, because these pearls have particular effects that are timed as well. It might end at the round, or it might end on at a particular time. And then it starts to get pretty diffused, because every pearl is so unique and we want them to be unique. I'm developing a system that should be as flexible as possible to accommodate any effect we want. Most commonly, the pearls affect cards in battle. Your cards or the opponent cards need to be affected. So here's a series of data we can have for any card that is going to be affected by this pearl. And typically that includes adjusting their stats, potentially attacking an opponent with the effect of the pearl, like actually doing damage as if it were a card attacking the opponent cards. Sometimes it prevents some movement or other actions. These are typical things so far that we've seen in the pearls, and so I'm already laying these out roughly as does this do that, okay? And I'm not entirely sold on the structure of this data yet, but it makes some sense, and we can handle like 90% of what the pearls do now with this structure. So if we know who dropped it, where they dropped it, when they dropped it, and what cards it's affecting, we're almost all the way there. We can tell the pearl is done and needs to be cleaned up, and that's something the manager is going to need to know as well. Here is where I'm currently at, because these are qualities to the pearl effect that say, oh, you need to check in anytime a card moves and see if this pearl is affecting their movement. Some cards are going to be held. Or you need to check in and update when cards are attacking, because this may do something with the attacks. Or this needs to be updated every cycle of battle because this card needs to be updated then. My current thinking is with these true false flags, the individual effects can be managed a bit easier. I know, for example, a particular card rules say it doesn't matter what happens when you move, but it does matter when you attack. And so turn this true, these false, and away you go. Now I know I only need to update this effect when cards are attacking, so forth. There's some data that has been set up. This refers to like one effect, and then one pearl can affect multiple cards. And so this is the effect of like each card is affected this way. So that I could say reduce the power of the opponent cards, and I restore what it was originally and what it is changed to now. When the effect is done, I can restore its power rating. These are things that I know we need to do, and this would be able to handle 90% of that. So with the data and all of that defined in terms of what does this effect need to remember, I can now move on to what does this effect need to do? And I like to, as much as I can, offload some of these common manipulations of data. We have the data. We're going to change some of this data, and this changes it. This is going to be able to do stuff like create a brand new effect. Yes. I'm going to have to do this often, and I want it centralized in one place, and I kind of want it away from what the manager is going to be. So the manager doesn't have to do this. This script can do that. Likewise, when we first make a Perl effect, we know it comes from a particular type of Perl that was dropped. And so that's effectively the rules of that Perl being translated into that data. We need to set this up or configure it. And that's what this script is going to do. So this is really just a template. I'm going to duplicate this like literally 64 times. And that way, for initially configuring a Perl's effect based on what the Perl can do, this is going to be helping us do that. This doesn't say how to handle the rules and what to do with the individual cards that are actually in battle yet, right? This is just saying, I guess you could put it this way, conceptually, what are we going to do in battle to the cards, to their movement, to their attacks? What are we doing? And this conceptually, so to speak, defines what that is. And I'm not sold these updates actually live here. This doesn't make any sense, actually. Think about it. Instead, I'm just trying to offload as much as I can from this script. The script is totally empty right now. However, it does refer to one of these. I need to instantiate it. One of these system scripts so that I can, for example, create an effect when I need to. I'm going to hold a number of effects as the battle is going on. Right now, we're really just allowing players to bring in one to a match. So potentially there's one or two effects running at any given time. However, we're still developing this game, and perhaps we say, it'd be great is if you have 7. Okay. I want an n number of effects to be running at any given time during battle. This manager should be able to handle that. So I'm just accounting for that right now. Right now, there's nothing going on. This is literally getting the signal that a pearl dropped. It knows where, it knows what kind of pearl, and it knows which player dropped it. That's really all it needs to get going. We have the systems and data in place to move on from there. And this is already in the scene. So the way I handle most managers is by having them start in the splash screen and then travel around the game as you go from splash to menu to options to the game back to the menu. It doesn't matter. These are going to live with you the whole time as you go from scene to scene. The Pearl Drop Manager does that. And it does that because you need to go to the collection screen and take a pearl. You need to go to the match and drop a pearl, right? But the Pearl Effect Manager doesn't need to do that. The Pearl Effect Manager really only lives in one place. When I go into match, it is here, and it really should only be here. This is by design. I didn't want this to live anywhere else. Instead, I have the Pearl Drop Manager signal this script. After that, this is going to take over because the effect, it's going to happen in battle, and if you exit battle, that's it. It's done. These two tools do different things. This one allows you to manage your part of your collection, the taking of it and bringing it around into a match, and dropping it. This handles it as soon as it is actually dropped. Once it has actually hit the table, it's now this Pearl Effect Manager's job to deal with all the effects. And I think that's good. I think that's a good division of labor. And yeah, this effect is empty right now. But you can see this is the data that I was just showing you. Here's the index of the pearl from our master list of pearls. I think the first 5 are the boost pearls, so like power boost, defense boost, health boost, etc. So this index is that referring to the master list. Whether player 1 or player 2 has dropped this pearl, what round or match time or battle cycle it was dropped at, and the position it was dropped at. So let's start by just making this effects array populate when I actually drop a pearl. So I should check, make sure monkey has pearls. No, I won't make it. So no big deal because I've already set up some of that. When the Pearl Drop Manager signals this script, the Pearl Effect Manager, it gives it this data. It tells you whether it was player 1 or 2. It tells you which kind of pearl it was and where it was dropped. This is good. I should be able to just create this now, right? So the first thing I want to do is add to this effects array. And well, people will laugh at me why I am not using a list type, and instead I'm using dynamic arrays, and have to manage adding and removing myself. Blah 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 blah. Well, it's fun. I'm a nerd. I'm gonna do my own thing. Okay, so I'm gonna add, and this way I'm going to have a series of Perl effects made as a temporary array where actually I think I should probably make if I don't actually make the array exist, right? I have to say new, even if I'm only making 0 of these Perl effects. Like I'm not making any of them, but I'm saying, oh, but I do have a list. I do have a series of them. It's just a length of 0. There's none in there, but at least it's not null. And that's going to be helpful because right now I'm about to say, give me the length of the effects and add 1. Because that's how many of these I would like to make. Like that. So I have a temporary array that is made, and it's made to be 1 longer than the current. So if I now work with that, I can say, yeah, go through all of the current. Go through each one in the current array, and we'll just copy it. This is to say, for each of these, make it equal to that. The difference is this temporary one has 1 extra. And literally I can just access it by saying go to this number. This index number is actually, this is referencing an index number, but computers count from 0. This length is actually talking about how many are there. So this is actually one more than the maximum index number that is here. I don't know if that makes sense, but okay. So I've got a new one. And what do I have to fill that with? Well, I have my new system script that in this case I'm calling effector, but it has a function that I have made. This create effect function is going to take a bunch of inputs, and I'm currently wondering why I have all the inputs here when I don't have any extra data beyond player 1 and the index and stuff. So here's index. Did player 1 drop? What else? Oh, X and Y, right? So which battle cycle? Oh, here we go. I do need, so I can get this data. The other inputs for this function include, can you tell me the index, if player 1 dropped it, what is the match time? How long has the match been running so I can timestamp this? Basically, the first Perl to drop gets to act first, and this is how I'm going to determine the sequence of things. But also, which battle cycle? This is part of what I need to keep track of. For example, many Perls last for 3 battle cycles, so I need to know which one it started at. Which round it dropped at, I'm not sure I need this actually, because at the end of a round, I don't know that I guess there could be a Perl that lasts for more than one round. I haven't made one yet, but we could. And then X and Y position. Okay, so that's what this function takes and then fills it into our data. Yes, yes, yes. Well, the data scripts and the system scripts don't actually live in any scene ever. They only live in the project itself, outside of every scene. The only scripts that live in scenes are what I call tools. Like these are tools, and they actually go from scene to scene. They're special tools, but a lot of tools exist only in this scene. For example, the splash screen tool only exists here in this scene. Likewise, our Perl Effect Manager lives only in the main game scene, and it's got the ability then to talk with other objects in the scene. That's perfect because it needs to affect cards. It needs to talk to the script that's managing the battle and ask it what time it is or what battle cycle is it, things like that. So right now I'm realizing I need a reference to that battle script. Right. It's called, is it called multi, it's called test. No. Let's play. That is what it's called. Okay. These have not been refactored, so clearly we're going to need to do some work on that. This needs to exist, otherwise this script should not run at all. In other words, I need to validate that this exists. And then I can initialize. This is typically what I do at start. And that way I can say, just to be sure, does this thing exist? So I want it to equal this, but now I can ask the question, does this exist? Or rather, if it does not exist, do something very deliberate because I am afraid I won't be able to run at all. This entire script is going to depend on coordinating with test play. So I need to actually error out very specifically. Say, nope, not going to run. And I'm telling the user, me, I'm just following a pattern of best practice. This is just me doing what I have to do. This is this script at this function, and I found that no specifically test play script. Yeah, I guess I think I need to say that now. It's going to graduate to some other script later. Found aborting. Aborting is what I have to say to make sure I'm explaining what I'm doing. In this case, I'm disabling this entire script and not going to run anymore, specifically because if I start accessing something that doesn't exist, Unity is going to error out. I'm handling it myself. Okay, so I don't have any initialization to do right now, but I am using this. This moment in update or when this is signaled, this has to exist. Test play was found, and if it wasn't, this script was disabled, so this never got called. So in other words, I'm guaranteed this now exists, and I can say something like, hey, test play. Oh, this is what? Match time. I don't know that I'm actually tracking some of these variables yet. I don't think I am. Match time, battle cycle, and round. Oh, I do have round, actually. In other words, I'm just going to put these as zeros for right now. And I can ask test play, what round are we on? Current round? Current round, right? Oh, is this public? Oh, that's a great question. It's probably a private variable. Darn it. I'll do that. I'll do that in a minute. Okay. But I do know X and Y. It's literally X and Y. Okay. So, although I have some missing data I need to go get, I can call this function with this input that I got and make a new effect in my array. I've added it. Perl has dropped, and so definitely add it to this array. Later, I'm going to remove, but this is the part where I would definitely add. There's no other place where I need to add. And so I'm going to feel pretty good about just doing it here. Of course, the last step in doing this is to make sure that effects equals the temporary array I just played with. So however long the effects array was, add one. Copy it, create the new one and put it on the end. And now the old array equals this temporary one, done. The idea is if I test this now and drop a Perl, I should see a Perl effect show up in this public. Oh, it's not public. Oh, here it is. This is public. Yes. We'll see that show up. Speaking of public, I'm gonna have to start thinking about all the things I want to do when I talk to this prototype script. I'm really glad I haven't refactored this yet because I'm absolutely going to need to continue to test and develop with it. And so it's good that I'm not refactoring it twice. However, it is a mess. Oh yes, it's definitely a mess. It's my mess though. I mean, I'm comfortable with it enough that we should be able to do this. But the questions do arise like, hey, how do I know what round it is? Well, I know what round it is in this script. You know, current round. Yeah, this is definitely available. But it is a private. It is a private variable. It is not public. In other words, I could do one of two things. I can either go find this thing, yeah, current round, make that public, or as a better practice would be, I actually create some public functions that help other scripts communicate with this one. And I think that's the wiser choice. It's nothing more than returning an integer where we just say return current round. I mean, it's that simple. It's no big deal. It leaves current round as a private variable here, which is safer. It's also less cluttered. While I'm looking, this thing is already cluttered as all get out. When I look at this manager, this is already huge. This is already kind of crazy. And yeah, I like that it just barely fits on my monitor. Yeah, I don't want to make it any crazier at this point. In fact, part of the refactoring is going to be making some hard decisions about whether it makes more sense to divide the labor and put this on multiple scripts. I'll get there. But for example, current round isn't displayed here. It's not public. Um, it's because it doesn't need to be. It also shouldn't be, frankly. Um, Even like this do round, do play, all that stuff, it's only public because I find convenient ways to cheat that I need to do while I'm testing. Um, so, yeah. And you could figure out round actually by adding up score and figuring out what's up. Because if there's a score of 1 to 0, you know you're in round 2, for example, right? You can also figure out win and all that stuff. So I guess there's some ways I could get around this. But this makes a lot of sense. I'm going to be doing more than just that one. For example, I need to know the match time. I need to know which battle cycle we're in. And I don't think I even track a count of the current battle cycle. I don't think I even do that. In fact, I don't think I count time either. Uh, match time might be match time might be something this tool tracks instead. Speaking of dividing labor, this tool can know if we are actually done with the match or starting the match or in the match or whatever. And in that way, this could just track time. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. That's not bad. I'm trying to convince myself. Uh, I do need to know if I'm in a match or not, if match is over. I have another tool that's already doing that, actually. The Pearl Dropper knows if we're in the match or not. Pearl Dropper knows things, and I'm resisting having any communication from this tool to the dropper. It really just goes one way, from the dropper to here. I think that's good. I don't need to do anything else, I think. But if I can I probably don't know. If I need to do it this way, I'll keep it. If I don't, I will remove that later. But I'm looking for the way. How does this know if we are still in a match? This battle data probably has a lot of what I need, actually. If we are currently in a match. So the places where I evaluate the end of the match is probably the best place for me to figure this out. I'm trying to determine how does this tool know the state of the match. Okay, here we go. Match. Because score. All right. Actually, yeah, look at this. Because of score. Cool. Let's do that. Let's do all that logic here in one place so that if there's a problem, I know exactly where to go. Is in a match. This is true as long as you haven't won. Because the moment you are here in the scene, you're in a match. Is that true? I think it is. is that true? That's a question. Let's review. Um, okay, otherwise I'm going to just return the condition about win because it's going to be true until score is less than or equal to 1 and so we're looking for if this is true, are we still in a match? And that's true if neither player 1 or player 2 has reached a winning score. So both player 1 and player 2 have a score that is less than or equal to 1. I guess less than 2 is fine. These are integers. Yeah, and I think that's true. In that way, I can literally say, hey, test play, are we still in a match? And if that's true, we can run this timer. Match time. Right? This is really more about, I mean, I actually don't care. Yeah, I actually don't care if this is wrong. If it's technically incorrect to say that we are in a match, if you haven't hit the button yet, I don't care because you can't actually drop a pearl, right? The context that we care about this is we've dropped a pearl and what time was it that we dropped the pearl because I need to have one happen before the other. I need to keep track of which one started first. So in that sense, I don't care. This is just going to run as long as it needs to run. Cool. So in that way, I actually know match time. Boom. Yay. I need to fill in the rest of this. What is our battle cycle? And what is the round we are in? Well, I can actually get round right now. T-play get current round done. So I know what round we dropped it. I know what time we dropped it. Now here's where I need to just think this through a little bit. I was thinking about the which cycle of battle are we in? You lay some cards down and you go into battle. Okay, now the cards are face down and they march towards each other. They haven't turned over yet. The battle cycle hasn't started yet. In fact, there are no cards in the battle cycle. Technically, there's no cards in the battle yet. Okay, but the Pearl effects typically say something to the effect of this Pearl's effect lasts for 3 battle cycles. And what it means is you've got a number of cards that are flipped over, they have met in battle, and they're attacking each other. The attack order fills in a cycle of battle. All of those cards that are flipped over are ordered in a particular order based on speed, and it will go through all of those cards in that order as one battle cycle. If a Pearl's effect lasts for 3 battle cycles, regardless of however many cards are in that cycle, I need to know which battle cycle are we currently in when it's dropped, so I know when to stop this effect. Yeah? Okay. That's what this number is supposed to be. I don't think I track anything like this, but I should. I mean, I'm going to need it. So I'm going to need to say, hey, Give me this number. Now I don't have this number yet. I mean, I just don't. So let's go make it, I suppose. That means that this script now has to Visual Studio adds namespaces when it suggests something I don't want. It's really annoying. I will either need to find where I do already track it, or I'll need to make a variable and track it. This is a variable that is an integer, and it's made, I guess, 0. The value is 0 when we have a initial battle cycle to go through. In terms of battle, so let's peek this. This is the data for all the battle. That's what this is. And it shows me the cards. It shows me the battle order. This is literally all the cards that need to go through in one battle cycle. So the moment that this is created is where that value of which battle cycle are we in is 0. And then we go through all those cards. Here, this is the turn. So this is where we are in that series. And once we get to the end of that battle order, then this goes back to 0. In fact, this potentially reorders the battle because more cards are in, other cards are defeated, and it starts over. This starts back at 0. The moment this turns back to 0, that's where our count of the current battle cycle needs to be incremented. As soon as we say battle turn plus plus, or battle turn, actually no, battle turn equals 0. As soon as we see that, that's where this needs to increase plus plus. And the moment we increase the round, this has to go back to 0. Okay, so we've created the variable we're going to keep private, and I know it starts at 0. That's fine. And I know when I'm going to increase it. It's when this battle turn is set to 0. Likewise, I'm going to turn this to 0 if this value is increased. Okay, and if we're done with the match, it doesn't matter. Okay, so first things first, let's go find battle. First things first, I need coffee. But I'm going to manage this variable. This is a new variable I'm putting on my prototype script, which I have been careful not to touch very much. But here's where a case I need it, because this thing can't do its job without talking with this script, and I'm going to need to do it. In fact, let's just do this right now. This is tplay get current battle cycle, and there we go. Okay, so this is actually in place. Okay, it's returning nothing at all. I'm gonna get coffee, and then I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make sure that this increases when that says battle turn equals 0. I'm gonna make sure this is reset to 0 when this increases. Okay, and with that, I will go get the coffee. But I just promised myself. And meanwhile, you can be in the jungle. Ah, jungle. Oh, yes. Lovely. Yeah, be right back. Okay. It's important. Coffee. It's very important. How important, you say? Well, in the jungle, coffee is life. And that's not an exaggeration, really. 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 Um, yeah. Let's get back to this. Be on the lookout for any raidage that might potentially show up, because you never know. I mean, I enjoy raids. Um, What we got is some connection between our Perl effect manager and the script that handles battle. Great. Now our pearls could potentially, maybe, affect the battle. But this last piece of data, let's manage it. I'm going to go look for where battle.turn is set to something. I'm looking for it to be set to 0 because I want to, I'm going to go look for where it is battle.turn set to something. Oh, there it is, 0. Like literally that? Yes, literally that. And is there any other place that this happens? Yes. As a matter of fact, there's a few places. Okay, 4. Good to know. Is that bad? I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. I think I just need to do it in all 4 places. You can see where I'm like hesitating because I know I'm going to refactor this, and now here's a place where I need to do things in multiple places. And yeah, okay. Current battle cycle, please add, yes, because we know it was 0 to begin with, and anytime we are resetting turn to 0, we have gone through a battle cycle. That's the logic, and I'm going to stick with it until it turns out to be false, and then I will fix it. But I think current battle cycle ++ here is the way to go. And that handles half of what we wanted to just do. Anytime we reset battle.turn, which is helping us understand where in the battle cycle we are, we have gone through a whole battle cycle, and so we increment that. Makes sense to me. What was the other thing? The other thing was whenever we increment the round, now it's only a potentially 3-round game, but anytime we do this, I sure hope this is the only place I ever increment the round. Is that true? It is true. Good. So by, simple word search, this is just a glorified word processing program. By simple word search and going to the next, I can get a lot done. This is going to help me because current battle cycle should be reset at this point. By setting it to 0, it is going to be 0. By incrementing it where it needs to increment, it is changed. And those are the only 2 places I ever want to touch this. But now that I have touched it and made it proper, it is now something I can go get and use. And hopefully I never have to come back and touch this ever again. I mean, when I refactor, these are things that I will have to account for because this script now needs them. Okay. So we're going to come back and look at this stuff. We'll come back to the tplay, test play, main game battle manager thing. That prototype script, we'll come back to that. But right now, this has done its job. When we drop a Perl, make a new effect. Make it with these parameters, okay? And because it's public, we should be able to see it. Let's test that theory, shall we? I think we have hold on. Stop. Oh. Okay. First of all, we are starting in the wrong place, doing the wrong thing, and that's wrong. You should always start from splash. But you know what? because this was such a noisy, loud, disgusting bug, I'm going to go find this. So literally, this is a mess, and I should not do this. Do I do this more than once? If so, I'm going to make a reference to this save load manager. I do. I do it more than once. Okay, then. Oh, it's on GUI too. Goodness. Okay. Well, that's a mess. Let's clean that up first, and we'll do our testing. This is called multiple times, and it's ridiculous. I should not do that. If I do it more than once, I shouldn't do it that way. Excuse me. My goodness. If I do it more than once, I shouldn't do that at all. I should do this. This is a pattern. I need to stick the pattern. I think the only reason why I haven't is because this is still the prototype script. Good. Excuse me. Wow. This is still the prototype script, and I really haven't done a lot to revise this at all. I have deliberately not touched this. Because I know I'm going to do a big refactor. I'm spending time on other things, but literally, yeah. It makes sense to do this and have this pattern in place. If nothing else, so I can just do so any place that I do this now, okay. Replace that because I can. It's guaranteed to be there now, and so now I'm just saying this. Boom. Okay, triple check that. First of all, that looks a million times cleaner. Second of all, it follows the pattern. Third, yes. It will now stop that noisy error. Let's test that theory before we move on. If I accidentally start from here, it shouldn't do that noisy error. It should do one error that I caught myself. Yep. But it does hate this. Why is this doing it? That's so weird. Oh, this is the this is a different tool. That's a different tool doing the same thing. Yeah. But, let's say this. You know what? Pattern. Follow my pattern. Follow the pattern. Follow the pattern. Follow the pattern. I'm in start, and like I said, I validate, and then I initialize. Yeah, here's me validating, and then I initialize, and I didn't actually do that. There we go. Because if it has been disabled, I don't want it to do other things. That's like literally why I do it that way. So this whole thing doesn't happen unless everything's cool. This is literally initializing as well, but I'm not going to touch it because it needs its own refactor. There's no reason to touch it more than once. All right. Let's do this again. I just want to see how noisy this is now. Well, it's less noisy. Okay, I can't help it. I need to actually do this again because, yeah, it really needs to have it done properly. How many times do I do it here? And this is a different script, but it's the exact same problem. This was me inserting the save load manager where it needed to go. And, oh, it's just 2 places. It's actually just 2. I'm stopping only because it's exactly 2. All right, yeah, I'll do it. It just needs to be a local variable too. It doesn't even need to be a global. So this is actually straight up. What the? Stop. Whatever that was that just happened. Don't do that. Good God, don't do that. Instead, I'm gonna just check and make sure this exists. Otherwise, it's going to skip this thing. And the only other thing I might want to do is explain that I've skipped this thing. Like this. It's a warning. I'm still going to do all the other things, but you know what? This script on this function will ignore even though it couldn't find it. So it's explaining what happened. Now I'm handling the error well. Okay, this is almost entirely unnecessary because you never start this game from here. But in case I do, because I do silly things, I now know what happened. These are all minor errors. Good. Okay. So, should we continue with what we were actually doing? There we go. Let's start from the proper place, doing the proper thing. We should sign in as our new, I think it's QuickFox, is that right? QuickFox? It is, okay. So we have a new account to play with. Does QuickFox have? Yes. Gotta play 3 matches though. We could. Or we could cheat. Okay. Hey, we found a pearl. Check it out. So we just cheated to find a pearl. So we have a pearl. That's great. This grants one of your forces a new life. This is a powerful pearl. It's got a decent cooldown on it. The next card of yours to be defeated after this pearl drops will be revived in full immediately. So how would I track that? Well, I know who, where, and when the pearl was dropped. Now, based on what pearl was dropped, I can say, cool, this pearl sticks around until the next card is defeated. The next card of yours, right? So the pearl is active and it is going to be updated on attacks, because then it can say, actually maybe on battle cycle, actually update on battle cycle, and it can look for those that were defeated at that moment, and that's before any lanes collapse or anything else. It can just revive the, actually this says immediately. And I'm stopping myself because I don't want the match to end before this pearl has its effect. So it can't be on battle cycle. It will be on attack. If a card's defeated, it's not. It just revived immediately. We'll do some special effects on it, blah, 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 blah. That's how we're going to track it. And so far, I have all that data. In fact, I even have a hook to check on attack, to update on attack. So I have thoughts about that already. I'm going to take this pearl, go into a match. In fact, let's go on off with our campaign, shall we? Rogue Trouble. What's going on? It's a shame how very afraid the friendly villagers are because Rogue Trouble seemingly threw the largest roast beef sandwich into the bottomless pit ahead of the dawning of the wolf moon. It's a shame. So there's an extra space here that I'm tweaking on, and I will need to fix. We'll go into the story data and fix that extra space later. Let's go. I brought the pearl in. I'm going to set my marching orders, and I'm going to go. What we're looking for, frankly, is not going to be visible on screen. It's going to be here. This effects array is now empty, 0, right? But we're going to change that. Somebody's going to be defeated in this first round. I hope it's not me. Tell you what, I'll try to force the issue because I kind of want it to be me so I can pretend the pearl did its job. So here we go. I could drop it right now, actually, except it's not available, but click. Now it is. And drop. Boom. So at this moment, the pearl effect is saying, I'm just going to sit here until the next card of yours is defeated. At that moment, it's going to be revived. Let's see if we get defeated. Okay, right there, first light would be restored. In fact, let's just see if we can cheat this, make it happen. I don't know if the next battle cycle has already happened. First light. There we go. Okay, so first light is the second card in player 2's hit points. So instead of being 0, it is now full. That's 5. So we just returned it back to life, except it doesn't exist. It has been removed from play. Do we have a? Here it is. First light. Hide card, no. Card flip up, yes. Darn it. All this has been removed. This has been removed already. So, yeah. Unfortunately, this is hard because while these cards have a thing, this has actually been, like, hollowed out. All that's left is the effects. The other one actually has a card and everything. So, we're a little late. Our script would be handling this properly, but, you know. And to keep our test from being totally screwed up, I'm going to return this back to 0. Because the script actually needs to manage the battle and it needs to know that a card was defeated. So our pearl effect needs to happen, right? It will, I promise. But right now, boom, we have a pearl effect. It is here. It is not a p-index of 0. That is wrong, actually. But here's the match time in which it was dropped. Player 2 dropped it, so that's true. The battle cycle was 1. Okay, I'll stick with that for now. The round it was dropped is 1. That's true. And here's the position it was dropped in, which is just a little bit off of center. That's pretty much where it was, right here on the battlefield. This pearl doesn't care where it was dropped, but other pearls do. There is one card effect that I do initialize, and this is meant to be a template. If, for example, all the enemy cards need to be nerfed in terms of their defense, the template card would have that reflected, right? And then when it actually is applied to other cards, this is an index of -1, which is meant to be invalid. It's supposed to represent a template, but other card indexes would actually refer to cards, and this number would be 0 or 1 or 7 or whatever. And when those are made, it's going to use this template. So this is going to be a way that I can define what the pearl's effect will do on each card by defining it once. I don't have to do it several times. What else? So this P index is totally wrong. Why was it 0? That's not right. I mean, I'll tell you right now, that's absolutely wrong. The second chance pearl has an index number according to the master list. And I apparently am taking this data from the wrong place. We can trace it backwards, but I want to fix that before we move forward, yeah? The rest of this looks pretty cool. So for this particular for this particular pearl, we would want to say update on attack. We don't need to update move or battle cycle, but once this was able to resurrect a card, then it would be clicked as the effect has ended, so it could be cleaned up, and then this thing would actually be removed. Done. That's what this tool is going to do. Okay. Okay, so this is good and clean. For now, I'm good here. This got P index as a signal from the pearl dropper. So this number was wrong because it was told the wrong number. All right. And let's go look at the pearl dropper because that had the wrong information. When we talk to, there we go. Well, this was the, I have a very strong feeling it works for the AI. This number is probably correct. I have a strong feeling that's true. And this one is not. Why? I thought that was going to be the pearl index. Oh, the pearl collection index. That's actually incorrect. No, this is which pearl in your collection, not which pearl in the master list of pearls, which is different. By design, every profile has their own collection among all of the pearls they could have, which is in the master list. So this is the index of the pearl. This is not. Oh. Duh. Sorry. This has the index. I should just use that. Perl data has index. Correct. Incorrect. It does not. How is that true that it doesn't have the I create an index specifically to make it easy to reference, and now I can't find a way to reference the index. That's great. So dealing with the collection. Here's Perl index. I would like, yes, I want that, please. Yes, because I need to know the Perl index. How do I? Mm, mm. How do I actually get the index? Because I'm going to use the index to reference all of the rules that each Perl will invoke. Uh, how and where do I even do that? Bruh. The held Perl has that. Okay, this is data in the profile, right? That makes sense. Okay, so, okay, bro, let's just find this. Can I just find this somewhere? This is somewhere in the project. Go find this, right? It's going to be on a lot of places, but yeah, all these are open, all these open scripts. Yeah. Find. This is held Perls. There's the P index. This is from the collection that you have. And the Perl dropper knows this, right? The Perl dropper knows this. So actually, wait a minute. The Perl collection index is a reference to the held Perl. Dude, I'm so surprised I don't just have this data sitting here somewhere. I guess I don't need it. That's why I don't have it. Wow. Let's put it this way. I should at least be able to say, hey, save manager, you know that collection? Uh, yeah, that. Oh, this got really messy. This is not what I want, but it's true that I should be able to say, yeah, among all these things, because it's an array of things, Oh, this is gross. This is so messy. Uh, go find the one. Yuck. The collection index, the index, the index, the what is that thing? Current, whatever. What is this? Current. What is that variable name? Damn it. This. Okay. Ugh, so frustrating. This. So, okay. Now we're there, and I just say, give me p index. Okay. This is gross. I don't like that at all. I can't believe this is how. I can't believe I don't have this data sitting here somewhere. I have a very strong feeling I'm going to be like, wait a minute, I do have it. It's right here. But I'm at a loss. Where the heck would that be? I'm not even sure that I have it. I can get it, but okay, whatever. Let's just make this work. The reason why we were testing is to make sure the signal from the Perl dropper to the Perl effect manager did its job. And it did, except for that one bit of data. These are both on cooldown, so we're going to cheat. Boom. Hey, you got a power boost too. Cool. Let's take it. Let's go into the match. And let's look to make this Perl effect happen. The test is that here in the scene, the Perl effect manager that doesn't have anything right now will have something. Boom. And it does have something. That number is still 0. Is there other errors or anything? No. Did I remember to save? Yes. So literally, this is 0. Let's confirm. This goes in and gets set to that. Well, I thought that would be the whole ball game, but now I'm wondering why Perl Dropper cannot get this data. Yeah. This is a reference to the list of pearls held by this profile. Yes? Yes. That's precisely what that is. This is called from the collection screen. Current item refers to the index of all the things on the carousel in your collection. And this is a direct reflection of your held pearls. Bruh. I am not just confusion. I am confusion. What am I missing? Let's track this all the way from here. I press the button and say take pearl. Great. I want to know what pearl did I just take, and give me the index, because I want to confirm from this point on that I'm getting the same thing. Now this is the collection index, which is so frustrating because it's not the master list index. And it can't be, because you have a separate collection that is different from the master list. It's true. Okay, so this calls that and says this now. Okay. We're going to come back and clean it up. So now we're here, and yeah, you bet. Yep, this is, right? I mean, literally, give me collection index. Yeah, that's what that is. Okay. We're going to clean this up. But now that that's true, right? If I'm here, sorry, where am I? Drop it. If I am I set it to -1 to be totally invalid, but I wonder if that's actually causing issue. No, this would error. This would completely error out. That's why I make it -1, so I can know exactly when it goes wrong. So somehow this was valid. Ugh, yuck. So when I call this thing, and literally I think the AI pearl drop works. Let's confirm that while we're at it. We just dropped collection index whatever. Which is pearl, and let's name it so I can be explicit about which one we thought it was. Get Visual Studio, you're so in my way. Give me this. Oh, please. Okay. Do you see how it like brings up a helpful pull-down menu of all the things that I can use? Isn't that great? Except it's totally covering up what I need to look at or type. It does that all the time. Got a name? Pearl name? Your name? Give me a name. P name? No. It's index. Okay. P index. Oh, I need to go up I need to go look up the master list to find out the name. That's true. Okay, so this is going to give us a Perl index number based on what it thinks it is, but it's going to say 0. And I'm trying to trace exactly where it breaks. Okay. At the same time, I am going to test the AI Perl drop to see if that effect actually gets a valid Perl index number, because yes. Hey, you got a new Perl? Boom, look at that. Got the anti-luck bomb. It's awesome. And at the same time, the AI is oh, I didn't. Wait, no save manager found. That's not right. Oh, it wasn't a event. So I put the warning here to like say, yeah, this was no, but that's not true. And shoot, I need to clean this up. I know what to do. I'll just come back and clean it up in a minute. Okay, but I'm not going to save. So I got a new Perl. I'm going to take it. I got Perl index is collection index 0. That's true, actually. That is 0. That is true. Because if I pick shoot. Okay, if I pick this one, revoke the anti-luck bomb and get this one instead, now I have index 2. That's true because according to this carousel, this one that I just got is index 0. And this other one I picked up instead is index 2. Okay, this might be the source of the confusion. Let's go into quick play. I will fix that. Oof. You can see why now I wanted to get all the other things in place before I tackled this. This is going to be a bear in and of itself, so I'd rather not have more things to deal with. Okay. Here we are, we're in a battle, blah, 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 blah. This is the Perl effect manager with no effects right now. Until I say, well, actually the, what is it? The AI drops a Perl. And it dropped a P index of 1, which I don't think is true, actually. I don't trust this number at all. This is just not matching with reality at this moment. But I'm going to drop one too. And it says P index of 5. Hold up. What is going on? Because that looks right. I haven't changed anything. You can't just suddenly be right. This is literally the programmer saying, okay, it doesn't work. Now why? And then a moment later saying, okay, it works. Now why? A Perl index of 5. You know what? I am almost certain that is exactly what that should say. So the test is a success. It's good. All right. I need to do another test, and I need to confirm that what I just saw is what I just saw, and yes, the number that I'm seeing right here is the number it should be. It does, in fact, refer to a very particular pearl that I will find this list of collections. Actually, let's look at 5 right now. 5. Show me 5. Second chance. That is not correct. That's not what I picked up, is it? Shoot, I wish I paid attention. I'll tell you what. We can get out of this match now. I will be dinged for cheating. But I'm going to go back here. Which one was this that I just looked at? It was second chance. Okay. All right. Uh, okay. Okay. Good. Wow, I wish I could say that was just good and just be done, but I. Mm, okay, I'm gonna fix this right now because I'm gonna forget. Literally, I just need to split this up. This is nesting, but I don't care. Oh, I can not do the nesting. Yeah, I can avoid the nesting. I can just do the pattern and properly. Okay, that's all. Boom. Thank you. Nesting, not nesting, who cares? Well, it's a readability issue, and that's all. But I don't know. I guess I'm influenced by a video I saw recently. It does make sense to not have lots and lots of nesting and make it more readable. So yeah, okay, sure. But I need to test this again. As much as I'd like to say this all works, I have that nagging feeling that says I am not 100% certain it actually works because it didn't work a minute ago. It seemed to not work a minute ago, and then it seemed to work then, which is like not helping. I can't really tell which pearl is being dropped by the AI, so I can't really confirm. All I can do is look at the number that's being dropped, and if it's something more than 0, that's a strong indication that it randomly selected a pearl and it was working. I honestly can't tell. I guess I could stop it. No, I think it's all private variable. Can't look. So let's do this. Let's try this again. I'm looking at this Pearl Effect Manager and what it actually drops for the AI. That looks like a jade wall. I'm just taking a wild guess. This drops something with a P index of 7. That looks promising, actually. According to our master list of pearls, a P7 is a jade wall. I'm feeling good about that. Now let's drop this. The Pearl Effect Manager says we just dropped a p-index of 13. Where were these numbers just a minute ago? I swear this didn't look like it was working at all. But this is player one dropped this thing at that time in that place. It always drops in the center. I dropped it a little bit off center at that time. Yeah. All right. P-index of 13 is the anti-luck bomb. Okay, good. Good to know. All right. I have no idea what I was looking at before because it certainly looked like it wasn't working. It really, really, really looked like it wasn't working. This is queen. I'm looking here on the edge where the scroll bar shows you places that are significant by highlighting them. The green means that it's something I recently changed. In this case, you can see the change was adding the logging that I'm now going to get rid of. It's a fast way of seeing how to go in and tweak stuff. I can zoom straight to the places that I've adjusted things. That's what this is, yeah. In this case, I guess I'm good, although this is still really ugly. I guess it works. There's a few notes I will make. One is actually called note, one is called to do, one is called fix me, and the other one's called review. I keep it to those categories because if I'm not just explaining the logic of what I'm doing, so I guess temp is also something I do. I would just say fix me temp. But review has a question, and I really need to come back and think about it. I'm not going to do that now. To do is I need to come back and get this other thing done. Fix me is there's a problem and it's right here. And note would be, I guess I don't have that very often, but it is sort of like a normal comment, except I'm doing more than just explaining what is clearly here in the code. I'm probably explaining stuff you can't see in the code. That's probably what note is for. But I use those, and in fact, that conforms with some standards in commenting. That's best practices. Go. Yes, yes, yes. So cool. Both this and the AI seems to be properly signaling to Perl Effect Manager, which means I think we got this amount of code done. We got this amount of code done, but it's rock solid. It is 1000% rock solid, and we even cleaned up a few other things along the way. I also learned a little more about what I'm going to need in terms of the systems and data. Yes, I'm quite certain, in fact, I need to have this sitting on the manager. Not here in the system. This doesn't do any good because this, again, this script doesn't exist in the scene, and I'm betting that all the things it needs to check and all the things it needs to actually perform are all in terms of things in the scene. So I'm just gonna do this, and these are not public functions, these are private functions. I will be handling update based on what the effect needs to do. Yes, because that review question is literally sitting there in my brain. I can clean that up now. So, let's think about that. I am going to call a function that does this, but I don't need to return the effect. I can actually operate on it. I probably don't need to, but you see how I'm like about to put different effects based on which Perl. In other words, potentially 64 of these. Yeah, this is why I kind of wanted to offload these, because it's going to be huge. I guess I'm still reviewing this whole thought about where this code needs to live. Um, um, yeah. Uh, yeah. Yep. And it is a question. I guess those aren't grammatically correct questions, but whatever. Okay, so this says, hey, a Perl was dropped, and we say right on. So now I've added to the array of effects. I guess I'll leave that there for now. And that's fine, except, well, when do we get rid of this, right? Anytime we're adding to this, we need to think about when we're removing it, when we're cleaning it up. It's kind of the same thinking that goes along when we look at some variable and we say, hey, that's great that we set this variable. When do we get it? And the same thing we say when we look at it, we say, well, when we're, I don't know, resetting it, or when we're incrementing it, or we're decrementing it. We were doing some of that earlier today. So I look at the array of effects that we are now adding to, and I'm saying, cool, when do we clean that up? And the answer, in this case, we are going to be having the Perl effect itself hold data that includes when it should be cleaned up. In other words, all the rules for the Perls are sort of arbitrary, not in the sense that they could be anything, but that they are defined and they're all unique. So it's not a standard. Well, here's where I can begin to at least assert one standard. No matter what's going on with the Perl, at some point it will have its effect end. And what I want to be able to do is just turn this on. So it says true. By default, it is false. And so when the effect is made, it is false. But the moment it is set to true, I will have something come in and clean it up. So that's where we remove or clean up our effects array. So we're adding to our effects array here. We're going to clean up. So let's do that right now. And I don't need this to be a public function because Perl dropped is public, but this one is a cleanup that we're going to do privately. This is among all the effects that we have in this array. Go find the ones that are set to be deleted and delete them, please. Pretty simple, actually. In the same way that we made a temporary array and then went through them and did stuff and then said, yeah, now the effects equals the revised temporary array. We're going to do the same thing. In fact, shall we? This is not correct, right? Because it's adding. And also we don't have this data. But we're not adding anyway. So this extra one doesn't exist. We are actually, in fact, removing. And we aren't adding one. We are actually, well, right. We don't know if we're subtracting one or more, or if we're subtracting any. Part of what we need to do is find the number to remove, because in this one function, we might be removing all of them, or none of them, or one. We don't know. Find the number to remove, and that comes first, and then we remove them. Yep. So there is a number Might start out to be 0, but we're going to actually need to remove some. That's how many, right? We're going to have the length of the array reduced by some amount. Could be 0. Actually, if it is 0, we should get out of this. Like literally. If to remove equals 0, get out. Yep. So in that case, this is guaranteed to be 1 or more. It's not going to be less than 0. And so we are, in fact, removing some. We don't know how many. Well, we know how many, right? But we don't know which ones yet, right? We need to have our temporary array go through them all, but skip some of them. In other words, this number and then this number are actually going to be two different numbers at some point because we will skip over something. So we need a different number just for the temporary array. We'll call it count. That way, this can be different, right? They're not the same. But this will go through all of the ones we have. It just won't copy unless the current one we're looking at has a delete, remove, what is it called? Effect ended, okay? Unless this thing is false. So this needs to be, no, it's still going on, it has not ended. And if that's true, then we want to copy it. Otherwise, we are going to skip it. We only copy the ones that have not ended. Effect is ended, no. Therefore, copy it. If effect has ended yes, then we skip this and we don't copy. Okay. But along with whether we copy or not, because we do have a separate number now, we need to actually handle it, including increment. And we increment only when we do the copy. At the end of that, this should reach right up at the edge of this because we did our job up here to find the number properly. So we're going to effectively do this check again. Up here. If the effect has ended, then we really need to know about it by incrementing this number. We need to do this in two separate steps because in order to go through the array, we need to be certain that they all exist. Otherwise, we're going to run into an error. So we find all the ones we want to remove first. Now, we don't need to remove any, we're done. But if we do need to remove some, we know how many now, and we are using that to ensure that we're going to get through all of these, but that the maximum number we're going to get to is equal to this, because we knew exactly how many we're removing. And then at the end, we copy it back to the original and done. So cleaning up our effects really is checking whether or not we've turned this on. And if we have, it will be removed. As long as we call this on a regular basis, as long as we set this to be true when it needs to be true, this will work. I mean, should we test that theory? Of course. How do we test that theory? Well, let's cheat and make a function to do that. In this case, we were going to use update, and we'll just say, yeah, when I press a button. How about that? Let's do that. So when I press R, clean up the effects. That's straightforward. And I'll just remove this when I'm done. But I'm just testing to make sure that if I have some effects here, because I dropped some pearls and this works, I will just check the effect has ended thing on and see if it cleans up appropriately. If it does, then I know that the function works, and I will just worry about calling it when it needs to be called and setting this when it needs to be set. Make that work. Just gonna cheat and make these cooldowns go away. Just I go over them and I can press a button. Similar to the cheat we just made, in fact. But now they're all available, isn't it? Nice. So we're going to take Power Boost. Jump into a quick play. I'm going to make the AI also drop one so we can see a series of effects in place. The cards I play. And so I'm looking at the tool and checking the public array of effects here. Okay, now I pause this so that I don't finish the round too quickly. So I got one. Why does this say 0? Power? I guess a power boost actually is. Clear one drop this. Power boost actually is index 0. Is that true? I think it is. I dropped index 11. I'm tweaking on this because it didn't seem right before, and I'm freaking out that it says 0. I guess it could say 0, and it's fine. Whatever. So let's look. I want to let's get rid of the 0. I'm kind of upset about it. So I've flagged it to be ended, and I'm gonna hit the R key as soon as I unpause it, and that should make this go right. Let's see. Yay! Good. Hold on. This is set as ended. I didn't do that. That's interesting. Well, it cleaned it up. That's good. Why did it appear that one of the effects turned on its effect has ended on its own? That's odd to me. Let's do that one more time. I want to be careful about the tests because each test is asking a question about a series of things that I just worked on. As long as the results meet the expectations and the success that I want it to have, and I can be assured that will continue to work as expected, I can move on and not think about this anymore. That not think about this anymore is so valuable because, oh my goodness, this application is already super complex, even for a simple card game like this. I do not want 17 things to think about. I want one. This is good. I like that. And so it's important to me to, okay, cool. Didn't say 0. So it's important to me that this works fine. What was odd was it appeared that I clicked this on this array element 0, and it deleted it. But then when we saw this one, it seemed to check its effect ended thing on as well. I'm going to do it again and see if that appears to happen again. This is off, this is on. It did do it again. How is that true? And is this actually a display bug that I have seen before with Unity and arrays of a structured element? I've seen this before. I've literally seen display bugs before. Is this literally true? If I hit R, so I'm going to turn it off and hit R. Okay, so it did not clean it up. If I hit R, it does. Why did that turn true? I can get this to select more and more pearls and drop more pearls. This is the AI doing it. So here's a bunch of effects now. Got 3 of them. Hello. There we go. So I will flag the middle one as ended, and it should be removed. Okay, it was. So, oh, why are you doing inconsistent things? Unity, you're driving me crazy. Why do you do inconsistent things? Please don't do inconsistent things. Oh my goodness. So now I clicked the first one to be removed, and it didn't do that. What is going on? So I'm going to call that a display bug until I can see it reproducible. If I can't reproduce this bug, then I can't fix the bug, most importantly. But so I'm not going to trust that it's actually a problem yet. Damn. It was a problem once, though. Because I would say I have an effect to remove, and I have an effect, please don't remove it. And not only did it appear to turn the one that shouldn't remove to true, but then it removed it. So it wasn't a display bug, it actually changed the data. Damn it. That's terrible. It's terrible because damn, it might actually be an issue, but it is inconsistent. That's not okay. I can't deal with that. What? By the way, you see how it's like not really in 3D at all. It's just a illusion. Actually, you can't see because the avatar's there. Okay, fine. So if I have 3 effects here, I'm gonna remove the last one, right? Yes. I'm gonna remove the first one, right? Yes. And this one doesn't say. Okay. Is it that I got my pearl, meaning player 2 did this? Is that why it appears to be like that? Wait, did I actually take it? I think I did. Take. Well, what is going on? Hold on. You shouldn't be saying that now. No, no, because I can't. No, don't do that. No. Oh, dropped. I can't believe that. Oh, this thing's doing 10 things wrong. Like, literally 10 things are going wrong right now. What? This makes me want to stop Unity, restart it. No joke. I have seen crazy stuff happen before. This should not be on. This should not be on. This is what I mean by I need to have one thing to focus on, not 10. I'm still trying to test this, and that is what I'm going to focus on. Sorry, this. But this is the pearl dropper thinking that we are in a match right now, and we're not in a place where it's valid to show this. That is wrong. So I'm gonna have to go look at, no, you can't drag. No. No. That is wrong. Hold on. If I get out of this right now, does this change? It should. Okay. So I can see what happened was I was in a place where you could drag and I got out of the match. And this isn't resetting. So when I go back in, this is already true. That's why. Okay. All right. Given that this appeared to work with the cleanup of the effects of pearls, it appeared to work at least a few times, and the times that are most recent, I'm more willing to move on until I see that bug again. So instead, I will fix this issue, which doesn't come up very often. But if I am in a place, excuse me, where I have picked up a pearl, taken it into a match, and gotten to a place where I could drag it, which is right there. This sets it true, and the problem is I'm not properly setting it false if I do this. And I need to. At the same point that this goes away because I'm not in a match, I should immediately turn this to be false. I can still have the pearl, so it's still taken and held and all that, but this needs to be false. Okay. I can do that. So I will fix this instead, and that's a good 10-minute task. And then I'll end stream. So let's do this. Oh, pearl dropper. Do you need to be that? Do you need to do it that way? Why did you do me so wrong? Pearl dropper. Okay, this is good, actually. I'm down with all this so far. The data, I'm happy with so far. There's no reason why this won't work well. I'm happy with this. This is very flexible. I can layer on lots of different effects because they will all have their own rule sets that will be managed by the manager. That's all good. This pearl dropper, however, you know what? Here's a variable, and I'm probably setting it to be true in a couple of good places. That's testing. And I'm checking it in some places. Oh, look at this. Me not actually setting it. I think I'm setting it from the prototype script. Yep, that's exactly what this says. I'm still on that setting. Which is great. When do I set that to be false? Once. Oh, this is at the end of a battle. Disallow pearl drops at the battle end. And then allow pearl drops. Because, okay, that was, yes, that's true, but not the whole story. And I think actually this script is doing its job. It's doing what it's supposed to do, so that's enough. But this script needs to do more with that variable. Basically, while I'm checking to see if I'm in the match and not in the match and blah, 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 blah. If I am not in match, and I know there's lots of things that say not in match, but they're all slightly different conditions. This one just straight up needs to say can drag must be false because you're not in a match. Of course, you're out. Anytime you're in a match. I mean, sorry, not in a match. Yeah? And that should fix that problem. To test this, we actually need to cheat. So hey, how much code did we get to write today? I mean, to be fair, lots of things were fixed, and lots of things were made to work well. However, aside from reviewing how I want to approach this Perl Effect Manager from the data and the system scripts onward, the actual code we wrote on the Perl Effect Manager is tiny. Wait, I want this. Okay, so this says can drag true because we can. We're right here, right? But if I do this, yay, that turned off. Good. Okay, so that's good. That was a successful test. And so we are literally only now looking at one script. To me, that's a win. I already know this is going to be a large effort, and getting all of those other things settled and in place, not just today, but all the other things from the collection, from the campaign, from the profile data, all the way to here, getting all those settled, I guess with the major exception of defining all the pearls. I have 32. We need 64. All those other things are settled though, and that allows me to now focus on what this script is doing. And so it's great because it's a very small script right now. I can clean up, and I've confirmed that this actually works. There's no reason this would ever be actually setting effect end. Literally, I don't set that. I had to do it manually. So weird. I think it was a display bug. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. I don't know what to do with these functions yet. I'll just leave them there because they have to be somewhere. The functions I'm talking about here are while you're moving, check in and see what this Perl effect is supposed to do to affect moves, because it might hold them or whatever. While you're attacking, check in with your Perl effects. While the battle cycle is updating to the next battle cycle, check in with your Perl effects, because any given Perl effect might do something special. That's what that's for. And because I have data that actually looks at those functions based on a flag that I turn on because the Perl effect says it needs to, then that should work. It's a way for me to organize the chaos. There's going to be a lot of chaos with these Perl effects. And so to start with, I'm going to make them. I'm going to clean them up. And we got through that. That's actually working pretty well. That's nothing earth shattering, but we are creating brand new pieces of data, which is good. And as I mentioned, it is actually flexible data. I think it's going to be very special to have a system like this that could literally handle any number of effects simultaneously. I don't know that we need that, but I really want to practice with this kind of system. I think I mentioned before, it mirrors a type of system that I developed previously, and it was never implemented, and I was sad about it because it was so cool. Shall I mention what it is? I'll move back to the jungle for this idea. The project I was working on, it was like Dungeons and Dragons. And because it was like Dungeons and Dragons, one of the main values that players like about that game is that anything can happen. When you have anything that can happen, that's a lot. That's a lot to account for, not just in rules, but in the implementation of rules. In other words, to make it so the code could handle that anything happens is kind of crazy. Yet, one of the ways that I figured I could handle a lot of the anything is to define these qualities as effects. It's literally what I was calling them, because an effect in Dungeons and Dragons might be a +2 dagger. Now, a dagger is just a dagger, but when it's +2, it's magical dagger, and it does extra damage, right? A dagger could also be poisoned, and that would be another effect. Now, you could have a dagger that is poisoned or not. It could be +2 or not, or it could be +2 and it could be poisoned. You never know. In fact, if you stab somebody with a poisoned dagger, then they are poisoned. And isn't that the same effect, actually? One causes another because it is the same? It is. So let me throw out another couple of examples of effects that might happen. Something might be on fire. In fact, a place could be on fire. A character could be on fire. A person or place or thing, right? They could have an effect. So this is how I broke down the everything that could happen into effects that could actually be coded and then modularly created, applied, transferred, removed. Here was my hero vision of what this system could handle. Let's say you're playing Dungeons and Dragons and the dungeon master says, okay, your party is walking along the edge of a lake. It's late at night, and on the other side of the lake, there's a forest, dark forest, except you hear a roar in the distance, and there's a glow coming from that roar, and it's in the forest on the other side of the lake, and the glow is getting brighter, and the roar is getting louder. your party readies themselves, but I'm just focusing on the effects at this point because, what your party can do and blah, blah, blah. That's not what this system was supposed to do. But think of how crazy this would already be to try and describe some of this stuff, right? Well, hold on to your hats. Here's the hero scene. Emerging from the forest is a zombie bear. The zombie bear is on fire. The zombie bear on fire emerges from the forest, having caught several of the trees on fire along the way, and the zombie bear sees you and is charging straight to your party, straight into the lake. And it doesn't matter to the zombie bear because it's a zombie, but it goes through the lake to get to you, and along the way, the lake douses the fire. And when the zombie bear emerges from the lake, you notice that the zombie bear has a +2 dagger stuck in it. It happens to be that the +2 dagger is poisoned. Now you're going to fight this bear. You might be able to pull out the +2 dagger and use it. It is still poisoned, but again, it's a zombie bear, so it doesn't affect the zombie, but it could affect other things. It is +2, so you're going to do some damage. That's good. If you stab somebody else with the dagger, they will be poisoned. If you hang out next to the forest for too long, you might catch fire because the fire is growing and growing through the forest from tree to tree. Okay, that's the hero vision of what I had for this system. But if I break it down this way, it can actually be coded. People or characters, places like locations, and things like props or weapons or what have you can have effects. These effects have their own rules, but they're either applied or taken away, and they can be transferred from one to another. So, zombie bear is a bear, but it has been zombified. It has an effect on it that is zombification. It is also on fire. It has an effect that it is on fire, and both these things are true. And it's running through the forest, and the forest is in contact with the bear because the bear is in the forest, and so fire can transfer from zombie bear to tree, and another tree, and another tree. So the fire can propagate because it goes from thing to thing or grows in the area. The lake can douse the fire on the zombie bear because the bear went into the lake. The lake has an effect, which is water. The zombie bear has an effect, which is fire, and water will douse fire. That's a rule that those things happen, etc., etc. This made a lot of sense, how we could get vampirism, like I said, poison, antidote, magical effects, all kinds of things happening between characters, locations, and props. Well, this system is not as complicated and wide-ranging as that. These are Perl effects. But think about it. We are attempting to do any rule you want on the Perls, given the fairly constrained and simple core gameplay. But we're allowing any rule you want and any number of effects to happen at the same time. There's no transfer, there's no different categories of things. It's actually a lot simpler. But the modular nature of it, and the idea that this Perl effect manager is going to handle lots of different things. Yes. It's exciting. I'm a nerd. Did you not notice that I'm a nerd? I am. Okay. Are we good? I think we're good. I'm going to end stream, having done all the silly things that I can imagine doing now. I'm sure I'll come up with more silly things later. In that way, I bid you farewell. Take care. See you Be good, do well. Bye bye.